And I want to get some color commentary now, get some analysis on what exactly happened from an expert who is a true friend of the show and is always gracious with his time. Defense attorney and former prosecutor in Fulton County, Darryl Cohen, joining us this morning. Darryl, appreciate your time and good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for on a busy morning for helping lend some analysis here. What's your take on that FBI raid yesterday in Fulton County?
Well, number one, be careful what you ask for. What we're in for is the law of unintended consequences. When Fani started this entire situation, she went after the ex-president Trump, who has now become the current president. And his philosophy always seems to be, don't get mad, get even. So the FBI yesterday executed a search warrant in the Fulton County elections to see these ballots, to see what is going on. And they confiscated a lot of stuff. We don't know what they did yet. It hasn't been available to us. We don't know where it's going to go. What we do know, wherever it goes, if anywhere, is now in the federal system. It is no longer in the state system. And the district attorney of Fulton County, Fani Willis, has no control. She is now an onlooker and a watcher.
So do you think this is in response to D.A. Willis's investigation or in a response to the lost 2020 election?
I think it's tangentially part of each. Trump didn't believe he should have been prosecuted. I don't go anywhere there. But he was prosecuted, and apparently he spent a lot of money. He's asking for $6.2 million in attorney's fees. Is that fair, unfair? I don't know, none of my business. But what I do know, pardon me, is that Trump was in harm's way. He was in the sight of the rifle, the legal rifle, and he had to go through a great deal of legal maneuvering in order to get where it's getting. Having said that, again, the law of unintended consequences, this took place, started by the district attorney's office in Fulton County. It's out of their hands. Where it's going to go, no one knows until we see what the results of the raid that was executed yesterday. It could go nowhere. This could be much ado, as Shakespeare would say, much ado about nothing, or it could be the continuing end or not end of a never-ending story.
Darryl, President Trump actually hinted at this last week when he was speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. I want to take a listen to that sound real quick from the president.
Have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It's a rigged election.
You heard the president there saying people will soon be prosecuted for what they did. Who could he be speaking about in Georgia?
Well, he could be speaking about the elections department. He could be speaking about the people who promulgated the charges against him. He could be talking, theoretically, about the district attorney of Fulton County. He could be talking about any of the underlings. But what he says is not always accurate. It's certainly designed to get headlines, and headlines it gets. But what he says and what the evidence shows, we don't know yet, if anything. And remember, it's been not a week, a month, a year. It's been almost 6 years since all of this took place. And we don't know about the chain of custody about the ballots. Where have they been? How long have they been there? Has anyone been able to get into them, see them, do something with them or not? All of that plays a part in what we're looking at. And quite frankly, it's a case of first impression. We've never been there. I hope we never have to go there again, but we are there.
Yeah, an unprecedented case, no doubt about that. You mentioned chain of custody, Darryl, and so did Democratic State Senator Josh McLaurin yesterday. He was outside of that raid when he spoke to us, and I want you to listen to what he said about chain of custody worries.
I've also heard from Fulton officials that there is no protection for chain of custody. There is no assurance that chain of custody is being preserved. That's so important because if they are able to modify the contents of these boxes, when I say they, I mean the Trump administration, then there's really no way of knowing what did happen in 2020.
So the state senator there saying he's worried that the ballot boxes could potentially be modified. Darryl, based on what you know about chain of custody and handling of evidence, is that a legitimate concern at the federal level?
It is and it isn't. Quite frankly, once the FBI is involved, they are as professional and good as it gets. So once they're involved, once they go execute the search warrant, and they take whatever they take, they're not going to manipulate it and add ballots or delete ballots. What they're going to do is keep it safe, keep it in a place where no one can go and touch it, no one can maneuver it without a lot of eyes on him or her. My worry about chain of custody is not from yesterday until going forward. My concern with chain of custody would have been from 2020 to now. What, if anything, has happened to those ballots? What, if anything, has anyone done? Have they deleted some? Or some missing? That's my concern, not from yesterday forward.
Gotcha. You know, this is an issue, the 2020 election, that has been litigated in the past. Georgia Republicans have even stood behind the integrity of that election, and the courts have upheld that there was not widespread fraud. With that in mind, are you surprised that a judge signed off on this warrant?
No, I'm not, because keep in mind, it's very difficult to say to the president, whoever the president may be, the answer is no, and it's spelled N-O, not K-N-O-W. So no, a search warrant merely means I'm going in to look for what I believe to be evidence in a case, and it doesn't mean that there is evidence, good or bad. It just means that it's okay for law enforcement, in this case the FBI, to go in and remove the contents of what they believe are part of the case. So no, a judge signing off of it, I think the magistrate, the judicial officer, the judge, whoever signs off on a search warrant is doing it based upon the affidavit which must go with the search warrant.
Darryl, my final question to you: How should Georgians be thinking about this? You mentioned just the sensitivity of what was taken yesterday during this raid. How should Georgians be thinking about, the safety of their vote moving forward?
I think that all of us who live in Georgia will say, I like the way it's going on. I don't like what's happened. I don't like the never-ending story, but I'm not worried about the integrity of my vote. It is protected. And quite frankly, if there's a few votes that are irregular, a few votes that went one way or the other, that happens. But overwhelmingly, I think Georgians are going to be very comfortable that their vote, Republican, Democrat, Independent, is going to be safeguarded in a proper and appropriate way.
Darryl Cohen, we leave it there. Thank you so much for your time this morning, sir.
Thanks. Have a great weekend after tomorrow.